It's an honor to be here this morning, a room full of creatives. My name is Franklyn Endonyan, and beside me is my beautiful superwoman, Jessica. And we have the honor and privilege to serve in the arts, media, and sports ministry here in London. I just want to thank Michael and Michelle for allowing us to preach our convictions today and for always giving us the vision and guidance. When you build something wrong, a business, relationships, a disciple, your marriage, ministry, it will stay up for a while. It takes time, pressure, and use to find out flaws. These flaws can bring the building down. No building falls overnight. It comes down with time. It comes down over time. So we have to build right. The title we'll be given this morning is How to Build the AMS Ministry. In Psalm 127 verse 1, it says, unless the Lord builds the house, the builder labors in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. This scripture is saying, unless God builds the AMS ministry, you're wasting your time. But we see that our God is a builder. He's a civil engineer. He's an architect. If God builds, it won't fall. So we have to build on the right foundation. My first point is to build the AMS ministry, we need a rock-solid foundation. We know in Matthew 16 in the Kingdom Study, from verse 13 to 19, that if God was building the church on Peter, we would have been in trouble. But we know that he's building on the rock. AMS is not built on you, it's built on Christ. The reason he asked his disciples who he was because if you don't know that Jesus is the foundation of your ministry, nothing you build will stand. Who you think Jesus is will affect how you build. Is Jesus the Lord of your ministry or your talents? God builds through vision on a foundation. Do you have a vision on his foundation? Why do you do what you do? Why do you create what you create? What's your reason? Is it after God's own heart or your own heart? No other foundation can any man lay. What is God building in the scripture? What is God building in Psalm 127? God is building a house, and he's guiding a city. Who lives in a house? Family. God is a family man. I think about a playing field. You put a cornerstone. You build a foundation. But the building doesn't start on just start laying bricks on bricks or bricks to bricks. So to build God's kingdom, the second point is we need family. Family is mandatory. I give you my wife, Jessica.
I'm so honored to speak to the sisters today. A family without God can never experience the true spiritual bonding that God brings through relationships. Relationships you have outside the kingdom are weak because God is the glue. That's why I believe that family is mandatory to building the AMS ministry. Everyone here is a result of a relationship. You were all born into a family, whether you like it or not. Psalm 68 verse 6 says, God sets the lonely in families. Baptism implies relationship. You were born again into God's family. God has set you in the family that you have. And that's why we intentionally invite people who are studying the Bible or guests to our music rehearsals, our concerts and events where we gather as family for them to see. We were once the lonely in the scripture, and we now need to be family to those who are seeking God. You don't compete with family. It says in the same scripture, but the rebellious live in sun-scorched land. If you're wondering why your talents, your gifts, your ministry is not thriving, dry, sun-scorched, ask yourself, where are you set? Ask yourself, are you really part of the family? What's great is we all form one body. You're part of the body that God created, like it says in 1 Corinthians 12 to 27. He set you in that body, sisters, for a specific reason. The body has many parts that form one body. My husband is like the hands. He's a doer. He just gets things done, you know? I'm more of the organizer, risk assessor, and we're complete opposites. But we are essential parts to our family, to the body. What part are you, sisters? Are you part of the neck? Are you a great support to others? The head? Are you full of Bible knowledge to help others? The heart? Do you show love to people who least deserve it? Or are you just the funny bone? Can people only come to you for fun and jokes? Or the tonsils? You know, the tonsils, they play an essential role in your immune system to keep the body alive. But guess what? The tonsils can get removed from the body, and the body can keep on going. In fact, in most cases, when your tonsils are taken out and removed, it's because they were causing issues to the body. And the body is now better without them. So sisters, we don't want to be tonsils. You know, you can never truly know who you are outside the context of your family. That's why, like adopted, fostered kids, they look for their parents. You know, when you were born, the first person that you knew, it wasn't you. It was mommy or daddy. Who are your mums and dads in the ministry? If you don't know, that's probably why you don't know what to do or how to use your talents, because God actually builds you up through these relationships. Sade, Josiane, Amiel, Chanel, Ada, Steph, the list goes on. These are my AMS spiritual daughters. How do I know? Because they call me mama. And guess what? All of those women, they have great purpose in our AMS ministry in London, and they're thriving in their talents. Ephesians 4:16 speaks about when each part is joined and working properly, that the body can grow and build itself up. Now, doctors will tell you that the growth power of your body is in your joints. Arthritis, for those who don't know, is a painful disease that can lead to loss of mobility and movement of the body. The issue is at the joints. The parts are not joined correctly. There's pain, stress, discomfort. There's a disability. Sisters, are you causing the ministry pain? We can't build the AMS ministry with disabled relationships. Some of you could reach more people if you join with the AMS ministries with Sold Out Collective, but you'd rather do your own thing. Yes, you might still go to heaven, but not with your full potential. Until we are joined and set in place, sisters, unified, no growth or building can take place.
Thank you. And finally, lastly, to build the AMS ministry, we need to plant seeds for the next generation. God builds generationally. We live in a time where all we think about is lunch, not tomorrow. When God called Abraham, it wasn't about him, it was about his son, Isaac and Jacob. When God appeared to Moses, he identified himself as God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses fell down on his face and worshiped. Why? Because he literally just saw that God was telling him that the building plan I started 430 years ago is still on. I haven't forgotten about it. Do you believe God is still building? Now, if you want to build the MS ministry generationally, as God does, what are you generating? What are you generating, a blessing or a curse? Are the contents you're generating now going to help the next generation evangelize the world in their own time? That's why next year we're launching SOC Kids, Sold Out Collective Kids. We are also protecting what we generate. We are now signed up and registered all our contents with PRS and BMI across the globe. Why? You cannot copy our stuff anymore. You got to pay for license because we're looking after our children. They need to benefit from Sold Out Collective. Some of us were brought up in racism, poverty, being abused. Don't let that change the next generation. Don't let that get into the next generation. As media and sports can change the narrative. Only in football you can tell a prideful guy to chase the ball. Only in a rap song you can rebuke someone and don't feel bad. Only in a painting you can change the perspective of someone. The real test to know if God is in something or not is asking yourself this question. does anything go past you into the second and the third generation? Is Sold Out Collective great? Well, let's see if it's going to survive past us. If the next generation doesn't love and fear God, we have failed. Deuteronomy 6:2. There are groups, denominations, ministries we have heard of. They did great things, made front page, billboards. Some of us even thought God was in it. But they're no more. Gone. They didn't plant a seed for the next generation. The difference between being rich and wealthy, that rich man thinks about himself. A wealthy person is thinking about his family, his generation. There's some surnames you hear. You know they're all going. They're all rich. Do you want your kids' generation to do greater things than you? That was Jesus' mentality. You are here because someone before you was thinking past themselves. We can buy cameras. We can make great songs. We can host great events, sell great paintings, win medals. We can make money, we can make noise, but make no difference. We can be popular, but not effective. We need to build the AMS, not for us, but for God through family and the next generation. And so if you take the A in a rock-solid foundation, and you take the M in mandatory family, and you take the S in seeds for the next generation, you get AMS, and to God be all the glory.
My God.